Okay, I'm building the Stinger 30. First thing we want to do is we need to prep all the blocks and stuff. So they're going to come in a couple of cores. Now these cores won't be screwed at the top, so we need to do that. It's really simple. All you need to do is just take the wing out of the shells, take a sharp blade and split it top and bottom. The other thing you want to make sure is everything is marked. Now, this is a semi-symmetrical wing, so make sure we got the, in this case this is a right wing, we got the right wing marked, we got the right on the block so we know which one it is. Now, the next thing we need to do is we need to prepare the blocks. So we need to go through and you need to draw a center line down the on the chord line on both the front, the root and the tip. And then we're going to mark off a couple things. The first thing is critical is these cores will come slightly bigger than what they're supposed to be. It's just the way the machine cuts them out. So we're going to make a series of marks here. The very end mark here is 8.5 inches. We need to make sure we have to trim this core down to 8.5 inches. We got to mark 8.5 inches on the chord line here, and we're going to mark 5.5 inches on the tip. Okay, because the chord is 8.5, the tip is 5.5, and we need to trim that off. Now, this airplane is really easy to build, but it is just 2 cores, so it's going to require a lot of marking and cutting. So it's very important that you have a sharp knife. I get these from Harbor Freight, and I just go buy a bunch of the blade packs, which is like $1.49. Get a bunch of them because these blades dull real quick. But they work pretty good because they have we're able to set the depth on these things. That kind of helps when we cut the spars and stuff, as you'll see. But right now, we need to trim this core up the appropriate size. So real simply, we've got our 5.5 marked on the tip, our 8.5 marked on the root. Now we're going to cut that out. All we're going to do is just slice the end of it off. We've got a sharp knife. It'll trim it off. Okay. Now these other marks we're going to make on here are so we can draw out the spars. So we need to make the first mark 3/4 of an inch back. Then take something like a protractor. Whoops. Set your 90 degree and draw these lines perpendicular so you mark them the same place top and bottom. The next line is 7 inches down. And this is just where the firewall is going to mount. We'll use that for cutting out later. This mark is 7 3/4 inches down. That's just going to help us set the lines that we're going to draw out. On the tip, mark back 1.5 inches. Okay. Now what these are, the importance of next is we're going to lay on the front spars. That's what the 3/4 inch is, and that's what the 1.5 inches is. That's how we're going to lay out the spars. Okay, next we're going to lay out the front spars on this. Now there's 2 different size spars in this kit. There's 3/32 spars and there's 1/8 inch spars. The only thing the 1/8 inch spar for is the center. Everything else was 3/32, so which is the smaller ones. So you want to go out and you want to cut for each wing. The front spars are 16 inches long, so we've already got these cut to 16 inches. And we're going to measure out our dimensions on our wing. Remember we had our 3/4 inch and our 1.5 there, so all we simply did was just drew a line with a straight edge from the 1.5 to the 1. We measured in 1 inch from the root, and that's where we're going to start the spar. Then from that point right there we measure 16 inches, and we're going to cut that, and that's where the spar is going to go, right there. To cut the spar is real easy. Again, make sure you got a sharp knife. On these knives like this, which I kind of like, just push a knife where the tip's barely sticking out, and then one click actually sets the depth of cut. So now to put this spar in, all we have to do is, first we need to score the line. So to score the line, you probably need a little bit more blade, but just don't cut very far in it. just score the line from your marks. Going just past the 16 inch, gives a little bit of room. Sharp blade. Make sure you're using a sharp blade. There we go. Now we're going to set this depth of cut, just showing one click, and then following our line, we can. Oops, I wandered off there. Got cut real well. Do our line. Just pass it. Now we're going to test fit our spar. I always test fit them. I mean, you know they're going to fit, but just so you don't run into any surprises when you're working with a glue. And if you got your depth of cut right, it should go just below the surface. If it doesn't, very simply clean it up again. Okay, now just putting a pin there so I can mark the end point there so I know where to start at. Now for the glue, we're going to use CA on this one here, and I've got some I think this is Bob Smith stuff. It's a get up the local hobby shop, but I tell you, I've also had really good luck using the stuff I get at Walmart, which is Super Weld, and the stuff called Rapid Fuse by DAP, which works really good. I like that stuff as well. Both of them are slow curing. So now never hurts to roughen these spars up a little bit. Helps the glue adhere to them. And I got in this hole, these slots here, just a little bit of the tape that didn't come off. So unless you want to look at that little bit of tape that come off, I'll clear it out. Now we're just going to take the CA glue, find our slot, and glue. Helps that little flathead screwdriver to help punch the spar down inside there. And there we go. Now we want to weight this core down in this block. We're using the bottom part of the block here. It's important. These wings have washout built into the tips. There's also toe in. This thing is also towed in about 2 degrees, but there's washout. So we want to make sure that sets that washout in. And when we get done with this, we're just going to flip it over, and using the other side of the shell for it to set into, we're going to put the spar on the bottom side. We're going to prepare the two halves quite a bit before we glue them all together.